Welcome back to the 19th hole for Keith Flemming. I am Jake Parry. This week we are going to look forward at the final event of the 2026 PGA Tour regular season with the Wyndham Championship, give a little bit of recap on the Rocket Classic, and most importantly, we're going to talk about family. The IBT Golf family, to be specific. It is our free-to-join way to gain access to our chats with our analysts, our other viewers, as well as gain free entry into our memorabilia giveaways, as well as our PGA one-and-done contest. That contest, for example, is coming down to the wire. We have 4 events left. How will the leaderboard shake up? We'll find out eventually. But for free, you get access to all of that. But for $3.99 a month or $36 for the year, you gain exclusive weekly access to our betting model, our full betting cards, which are we're over 160 units positive this year. So looking to continue that through the rest of the season and into next year. But perhaps most importantly, it is not just the golf side of things that you gain access to. You gain access to the football family, racing family, and entertainment family, which is another 3 places where we are very positive and doing great things over there for all of you. So make sure you do not miss that. But with that being said, Keith, why don't we talk about Thor's hammer a little bit? Yes, that is right. We are talking about Mjolnir in our own way. Thor drops the hammer. Michael Thor Bjornsson. I did it right so many times pre-show when I was running through this script in my head. Thor Bjornsson ended up taking the win, capturing his first win on the PGA Tour in his young career. I'll be honest, he's a player that I've not necessarily been as high on as many others have. But this week he showed I don't know. I think it's just, I didn't necessarily come around with the hype when he was, first gathering some steam. I was a little bit late to the party on Thor, and he's just very inconsistent, I think is kind of the best way to describe his career.
No, that's fair. For sure.
The ceiling, as we've seen, is very high. I mean, we're talking about a guy's first year on tour, multiple top 10 finishes. He's done that basically every year, but he just disappears for long stretches where he's just a non-factor in most tournaments. Even this year, he misses the cut in the first event, goes tie 18, top 3, and then 78th missed cut. Just he goes through these stretches of nothingness, but when he puts it all together, it's clear that he's a very strong player, and we saw that this week. Like, no part of his game really stood out that heavily. You could probably make an argument for his play off the tee. He was 4th of all players this past week in strokes gained off the tee, but the approach around the green, putting, that was just 14 to 18, but that can win a lot of the times on the PGA Tour. It's just having a generally consistent game. And then you factor in, the strokes gained approach weren't awesome, but he also led the field in greens and regulation. So there's some aspects of it that just don't necessarily get captured by strokes gained. But I mean, I've never thought he wasn't talented. He just kind of,
you didn't think he would win this early. I mean, right. I think it's a fair thing to say. I think he's a head case. Most of these young guys that are this talented, just from when I've watched him play, when he's going, it's almost like Rory sometimes has that stride, right? When Rory is playing really well, the chest is up, it's back, he's just
that flow state.
He's strolling down the street. And I mean, that's kind of the way that this kid is, where when he's got it, he's got it. But to your point, he has not yet learned how to just be a good golfer, which I know that sounds ridiculous. He's on the PGA Tour, but you can play golf at a really high level if you don't try to do too much and you keep your emotions in check. But it's difficult for these young guys to do it. I'm happy for him. It shows how much talent is on the tour right now with these young guys, and I think it's going to give other young players on tour, seeing him and Koivun winning back-to-back, like the confidence, say, why can't I go out and just win, which used to be pretty rare on the tour to see somebody, win when they're this young.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it kind of throughout the year. I don't want to say it's been a year of the younger player winning, but I mean, if we're
fair,
if we're being honest here, Thorbjornsen wins. He's 24, not yet 25. Koivun gets a win at 21. Tom Kim records another win. We forget that he's still he's freshly 24 years old, and
he's a veteran, grizzled.
He's a 4-time winner on tour. You see guys like Chris Gotterup getting multiple wins at just the age of 27, and you could just keep going down the list, and there's more and more young guys that are competing week in and week out and recording wins. Akshay, another name that recorded a win this year and is young. It's sure we've got the Justin Roses who've gotten some wins. We've got, Bud Colley, he's up there a little bit. Snedeker, Henley's getting up there comparatively, but it's just going to show the route that golf is going is just the young talent is going to break through. Yep. And it's a matter of when, not if, for a lot of these players. But absolutely had to talk about the performance. It was a very strong performance to go out and shoot a 63 on a Sunday. I think that quells a lot of the Sunday scary questions that we have for him. He's shown
what
he can
about
do it
on
now.
The other side, Brennan? I mean, this is now I think 3 or 4 final rounds in a row where he's been in contention and shot 71 or higher. Eventually a trend is more than just a trend. And I do have some concern because he's another one of these guys, young kid, ton of talent, seems to always be in contention, but he had a great chance to win that tournament.
Absolutely.
Both on Saturday and Sunday. And I hate that he didn't get it done. But unfortunately it's making me question, does he have it to where it's somebody that I want to be, betting outright the rest of this year, next season? Yeah.
And I think with Brennan, it's a very fair question. And it's important to note that Brennan went through a different career path than a Thorbjornsen did. Thor, he started his career, had a great collegiate career, came out and basically was able to get onto the PGA Tour very quickly. Didn't spend a lot of time. He went straight from the NCAA to the PGA Tour, whereas Brennan didn't necessarily have, the most prestigious college career, was solid, ended up going to the PGA Tour Americas route, and then gets, 3 wins in a 4-week span over there, comes to the tour, gets a win in his first event. And so this is his first year truly fully playing professional golf at this level. It's the most tournaments he's ever played in a single year.
That's wild.
I think it's the nature of Brennan's game too, versus what a lot of these players are. Brennan's probably more of what most people think of when they think of the young golfer coming out on tour now. He's kind of the, when we look at Jackson Koivun, the reason he came out on tour and was able to play so well, so fast, and even a guy like a Blades Brown, a 19-year-old who's had a lot of success between the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour, these guys are not mashers, right? They are consistent throughout the bag. They have consistent good performances. All facets of their game are really solid. Brennan he's a ball speed guy. He's a guy who's going to fully commit to every shot that he's going to take. It's going to be full bore. Sometimes that's going to work. Sometimes that's not. I mean, when you look at him this year,
but you have to adjust. I can't think of anybody in the history of the game that's won, consistently doing that. You can have a week here and there, but I mean, even Tiger and those guys, they could hit a lot further, right, than they did. Tiger had as much speed as anybody, but he had to learn to, you got to be able to control your ball.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no matter how far you hit it.
And I do think he is going to be able to learn that. Obviously, he still had a pretty solid season. He could still play his way into the playoffs with a good performance this week. But, if you look at his year, every event he gains strokes with the driver, and then this one he just didn't. And I think that was truly the difference between him winning this event.
What a bad time, right?
Right.
Because if he gains them with him, I'm sure he wins the event.
Yeah, you go into this event just being one of the most consistent driver players on the planet, and then he got better throughout the event, but I mean, he was 121st in the field in strokes gained off the tee in round 1, and then 62nd in round 4. So he improved, but he was still losing. Ended up, about field average there. Had a great week on approach, great week with the putter. But I think, it's kind of the thing we talk about, right? With all of these young players in various different ways, like they have to learn to, these are guys who throughout college, throughout the PGA Tour Americas, throughout the Korn Ferry Tour, even to an aspect, just off of pure hitting it 60 yards farther than everybody, they're able to compete. But you have to and I think Brennan will get there. We're seeing it with Thor as well. Thor is another guy who can absolutely mash it off the tee, but they're recognizing that there's times where that 60 yards is not the advantage that it is at other venues.
To your point, Koivun's by far the most talented of these guys. And yeah, he hits it far, but that's not the strength of his game. Yeah.
He's a guy where, if you look at a golf course, like I think this week is a great example, and we're going to talk about Koivun. Like this is very much a less than driver course in a lot of ways. And a lot of guys, especially the mashers, have a ton of confidence with their driver, and you give them a 3-wood where the head's smaller and it goes away a little bit.
Shit, some of these guys 5-iron, right? Like they hit it so freaking far.
Yeah.
And I mean, Koivun, of course, in college, finishes 5th here. So it's definitely a course I think that he likes.
Yeah, certainly. And, speaking of that, now that we've given the recap for the week, let's talk about Sedgefield Country Club. So let's get these notes rolling from the caddies so we can break down the venue. Keith, what's your opinion on Sedgefield Country Club?
I like it. I mean, for whatever reason, I think it was after we thought Tiger wasn't going to play golf again. He came back here, maybe it was like 2015 or 16, and it was the first kind of sign that, okay, he's going to keep playing golf. And obviously, I paid more attention to the golf course that week with Tiger Woods playing in the event. And I really like the course. I mean, it's one of those that anybody can win. Like, it doesn't matter if you have elite distance. I mean, come on. When you have 8 holes that are 400 to 450 yards, I feel like I could play that golf course, right? And I don't hit it that far. Not that I could compete with these guys, but I'm saying it is definitely something that if you're a really straight driver of the golf ball and you're not quite as long, you may actually have the advantage and be the bomber this week because you're able to, hit driver on these holes. So I kind of like it, man. I really do.
I love it as the final event before the playoffs because of, like you said, it's a test, right? Like, this is a course where distance really is not an advantage. If you look at the previous winners here, Cam Young last year obviously can hit it as far as anybody on tour anytime that he wants. That was not what won him the event last year. His putter is almost exclusively what won him the event last year. But then you just go almost the entire history prior to that. You have Aaron Rai, not a long hitter. Lucas Glover, not a long hitter. Tom Kim, Kevin Kisner, Johnny Herman, JT Poston, Brant Snedeker, Henrik Stenson. Like,
yeah, me at Kisner.
Yeah. Like, if this is a course where Kevin Kisner can win, he's the prototype of, I'm not going to win at a 7,400 yard course, but they pay a lot of money for 40th. But so it's a course that's going to test players, and you're going to have to put on a good performance here. And especially in a week like this, where there are so many implications for the FedEx Cup playoffs. And,
every player 60th to 90th is in this field.
Yep.
Every single one.
It's an event where if you are currently ranked 182nd or better in the FedEx Cup point standings and are not yet qualified, you have a route to qualify for the FedEx Cup. There's a lot of names this week that are household names or near household names for a lot of people who have to put on elite performances to
looking at you, Billy Horschel. This is supposedly your golf course. Come on, man. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, Horschel's one of them. You've got Keegan Bradley, who can play his way in.
Webb Simpson.
Webb
We know he
Simpson.
loves this golf course.
Tony Finau can play his way in. Lucas Glover. Brooks
Horschel
can play his way in. There's a lot of guys who
what would you honestly do if Koepka took the route he did, where at no point really this season did I feel like, man, Brooks Koepka wants to make the FedEx Cup playoffs. And he comes back for the final event and wins, obviously gets into the FedEx. And it's just like, did Koepka just set us up? Is he back to, only the majors matter type attitude?
I don't know. I heard a story about him playing just like for fun a couple weeks ago, doing a shot a hole of tequila with some other guys out there and just having a good time. And I think that's what Koepka has kind of needed, right? Like he takes the money to go to live. He's got to get the joy for golf back, I think it was pretty clear he lost it. And that's why I think like the majors became such a big thing for him. It was the most competitive golf can get. So that level of pressure is just something that he loves. But, he's a guy that I think certainly he's got to finish solo fourth. And this is assuming that absolutely no points are gained by Jackson Koivun at this time, which I think it's an inevitability that Koivun's probably going to gain some points this week. He will, as long as he doesn't miss the cut, essentially.
Right.
But, and that's why I love this being the final course, because it's not a long course. There's bunkers placed strategically, as we expect with every Donald Ross design, but there's not a ton of them. The fairways are within they're some of the most narrow fairways that players are going to see, less than 30 yards, average fairway width, small.
Jake, you understand this stuff better than me. How can a course both rank consistently in the top 10 for the hardest to hit approaches when you miss the fairway, right? Or penalizing, but also be the easiest course since 2015 strokes gained approach? It's like, what?
I think it's because the course is very straightforward. If you keep it in the short grass, you are fine. The problem is with this course, it's Bermuda rough, but it's not long. It's like 2.5 inch rough. But what that does for people who aren't familiar with the agronomy side of things and everything that goes into why they do what they do with golf courses, 2.5 inch Bermuda grows in very thick and very clumpy. So it is very easy for your ball to either get caught in the rough and lead you to dead shots out of the rough, but it also can produce flyers where you are very confident every single time that you hit your pitching wedge at full swing, it's going to go 142 yards. Suddenly you get that ball a 1/2 inch off the ground in this rough or 2 inches off the ground in this rough, and that 142 turns into 160 real quick. And I think
just the threat of that too throws them off so much, because I think they're thinking so much of, is this a flyer lie? Is this ball going to 100%? Jump? And I just think it kind of explains it. I just don't understand like how it can be both one of the most penalizing and the easy. Mm-hmm. But I guess it just says you better hit fairways. Because if you do, you can birdie out. You can make some birds.
Yeah, it's something that's not totally uncommon either when we get these tree line parkland courses where the slightest bit offline, even in the fairway, creates just an immense level of difficulty for a lot of players. Like, the course that we played for the IBT Classic just a few weeks ago, that 18th hole, if it weren't for the fact that I could confidently hit a fade off the tee with my driver, that hole is hard. If you are a pure drawer of the golf ball, you are just in shambles on that hole, because even if you hit an iron to set yourself up, you then have to hit like a 15-yard draw to have a chance to stick the green. So just the way that trees can cause some of these issues for players can certainly, bring in some things that you don't necessarily have to do all the time. And because it's a shorter course too, I think if you are good with your short irons and you are accurate off the tee, like right there alone, it gives you a distinct advantage here. These greens are hard. It's Bermuda. It's true Bermuda greens, like we haven't seen on tour in a few weeks now, if not longer.
What is it? 30% approaches from 150 to 175, and it's over, I think, 50% from 100 to 175. I mean, it's a wedge fest. They don't have a lot of under 100 yards, which is the other thing that I didn't realize. Like, it's below average. So, sometimes I start looking at wedge numbers and start looking at, how is somebody inside of 100 yards? And this is not one of those courses. I mean, literally a majority of shots are going to come from like 100 to 175 yards.
Yeah, it's nearly 60% of approach shots if we're using last year as an example. It's over 55%. So it's just a condensed venue. It's, like we said, it's missed fairway penalty is one of the strictest on tour. But as we said, it's the easiest to gain strokes on approach at the same time if you can just put yourself in good positions off the tee. And so, when it comes to kind of the players that you were looking at this week, what were some of those stats that you put a little bit more emphasis on?
I mean, I kind of tried to keep it simple and want guys that drive it straight.
Yep.
Like I actually did look more at driving accuracy this week than I'd have most weeks. I did look at obviously strokes gained off the tee on like short positional courses, but really hammered in on that 100 to 175 number. And then 10th most predictive course on tour. Guys have a lot of success over and over again. I think it was 16 guys had multiple top 15s in the field just in the last 5 years. So if you had a good track record here, that also played a big factor.
Absolutely. And so for me, I kept it very similar too. I got a little more creative with my off the tee statistics than I typically do because it's such a positional course. I obviously focused on good drives gained, having good drives gained. Again, for those who aren't familiar with the stat, it factors in the approach play that you get afterwards. But I also looked at strokes gained total off the tee at less than driver courses. There's only 4 holes on this golf course that are over 80% driver usage, only 6 that are over 70% driver usage. So it's one of the 5 courses on tour where you will see the highest amount of irons off the tee. So, that's where the less than driver side of things came in for me. And that was something that I put in very early. Bermuda putting has always played an important factor here. And then obviously with the approach numbers that we talked about, included some ball striking stuff in there, some course history stuff. But, we talk about this course being a little bit difficult and being a tighter course. And people probably tend to think when we talk about some of the courses like this, that scoring is a little bit less of a factor. Absolutely not.
I want guys that make birdies too at this thing. That was the other thing. You got to score.
Winning score here is typically between 18 and 22 under. Like you have to be able to score this week. We saw that with Cam Young last year, 6-stroke win. So, maybe a little bit different than some of the other years. You go back to Kisner's win. That was a 6-man playoff for him to get the win here. So, the scoring can get condensed. And if you can have a round where you can break off a couple extra birdies, it really creates opportunities for you to separate yourself. And when it comes to some of the markets, which I'll talk about in a little bit here as well, the AM PM time really comes into play here. Historically, first round leaders tend to come from the morning rounds. Players who start on the front 9 tend to have more success here than people who tend to start on the back 9 tend to have more success than people who start on the front 9, just because 9, 10, 11 are 3 of the hardest holes on the course. So you'd rather have to get lucky early or late rather than have to do it all right away. Middle of your round just can blow up a good round real quick when that stretch of holes goes downhill on you. So, pretty straightforward profiles, I think, for a lot of us this week. And overall, we know the type of players that we're looking for. So with that being said, let's get these clubs twirling and start breaking down the odds. Cam Young, betting favorite this week. Shouldn't be a surprise. He's the highest ranked player in the field. In fact, the only reason the dude's in the field this week, I think, is because he's the defending champion. Otherwise, it's like it goes from him to like 23rd in the world. So it's a pretty steep drop off there. So unsurprisingly, he is the betting favorite here. Maybe surprisingly, not for us sickos, but for a lot of the public, is Jackson Koivun in like his 5th event as a member of the PGA Tour, being the second highest odds, pretty much across the board.
Yep.
It, like you said right there, he's a special player. He's shown that he belongs at the top of this board here, but it's an otherwise pretty condensed odds board. It's about what we expected. It's fairly in line with world golf rankings. Obviously some numbers that pop here, some guys who I think the odds are a little bit questionable, some guys where I think the odds are certainly favorable, but I mean, let's not waste any time here. We've talked about him 17 times on the show already. We're both in on Koivun at this number at 18-1.
Yeah. I mean, actually he was 22-1 when I first looked at it. So he's been moving, which doesn't surprise me. I mean, again, he finished 5th here as somebody that was still in college. So I think he likes the venue, and he's pretty dangerous, especially in a weak field. Like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, it was a very easy click even at the number. We talked about it what was it 3 weeks ago now that I hit the outright on him at the 3M Open, and I was like, guys, let's just bet him at 30 something while we can, because it's going to be very quick that he's going to be sub 20 in most weeks, and we're already
though, not me. Come on now.
Fair. Yes. Let me clarify. But yeah, we were all in on all of the 19th hole was in on Koivun that week. Let me put that out there very clearly.
Very pro Koivun
podcast here. Yes.
Podcast. Sure.
Doesn't take much for us to get excited about 21-year-olds who are just already elite players. Like, yeah, we're going to be all over them as soon as we get the chance, but it's a prime example of taking advantage of the odds while you can. That said, he's still 6th in my model this week. From the stats that we do have on Koivun, top 25.
He was second in mine. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's 21.
It depended entirely. I ran the model like 4 or 5 different times with the different off the tee stats that I was doing to try and find a proper weighting for it. And I think I finally got there. But the first time I ran it with just less than driver courses, Koivun was 1. Once I started to factor in some of the good drive stuff, some other players got a bit of a boost, but I have him in his career, every round that he has had PGA Tour shotcast data, 23rd on Bermuda putting, 7th on approach, from 150 to 200 yards, which we've already stated, most approach shots are going to be sub 200 yards this week. I just lost him. 7th in the field there. 3rd in birdies or better, 18th in bogey avoidance, top 20 in ball striking, 8th all time in terms of strokes gained total at this venue, 4th in 3-putt avoidance, which is something that we didn't really talk about, but it is something that can derail rounds here very quickly, as it kind of always does on Bermuda. And I think perhaps the most telling part is that par 4 is 400 to 450 yards. We already mentioned there's 8 of them. That's almost half the golf course falls right there. He's 7th in strokes gained on those holes too.
Hello.
And 13th in good drive percentage. Like, there's no flaw in the profile for Koivun this week. You could make an argument that it's maybe the approach numbers from 100 to 150. He's still about field average in that number. So it's not even something that's a major concern for me, especially coming off of a week like he had last week, where if it weren't for his numbers from 100 to 200, as poor as he did putt last week, we're probably not seeing him in the top 30 of that event. So it was a no-brainer.
If the floor was last week, that's a very positive thing. And to your point, he's one of 6 guys in the field above average in course and comp course history, fairways gained, strokes gained off the tee on short positional courses, and proximity from 1 to 175. So yeah, he's not like elite necessarily from 1 to 175, but he's better than the field, and he's way better than that in other metrics. So again, I think it's like, I want him to win. I just think it'd be great going into the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Have this 21-year-old kid with 2 wins. And it'd be a really fun playoffs. Like, I would finally get to see Rory on a golf course again, Scheffler back out there. Like, let's go.
Exactly. It's when your worst statistic for me is field average, and there's that many that start with a 2 or don't have a second digit in front of it, I'm just going to bet you when the number is this favorable still. There's a legit argument his numbers should be probably within 2-1 of Cam Young's. Yeah. And so to get nearly to get a 10-1 discount on Koivun to Cam Young, I'm going to take that.
He's plus 135 to top 20. That's like my favorite bet all week. Yeah. I can't see him finish outside to get, positive money. God, I want him to be really good. I really do. I want him to win.
Same. It would be very awesome to see. Speaking of other people that we would like to see, we have seen this guy win already this year, and I hope he can do it again. And this is a venue where I certainly think he can. I'm in on Tom Kim at 35-1. This is just a very favorable number here. The question with Tom Kim, as it pretty much is always going to be, is can he putt here? He's not been the best Bermuda putter in his career. Flat out, he'll tell you. Anybody with eyeballs will tell you. Where I'm going to take the shot on it anyway. Number 1 in the field in strokes gained approach over his last 24 rounds. Good birdie numbers, great bogey avoidance numbers, ball striking. He's got the history here. He's 10th in strokes gained total at Sedgefield throughout his career. Top 12 in strokes gained on those par 4s, 16th in good drive percentage. This is just another guy where, like, I'll take a shot on a ball striker to have a good putting week. Then I'll typically I'll never take the shot on a great putter to just magically turn into an elite ball striker. I'll take a shot on a good ball striker to just turn into a good putter for 1 week. And 35-1, when you look at some of the other numbers that are in this range, it makes it that much more appealing to me. When I'm getting better odds for Tom Kim than I'm getting for Ryan Gerard, Justin Thomas, Hideki, who's been having a very down year. Like, when I'm getting better numbers than all of these guys, not to mention Aaron Rai, who I do like this week. He's Kim is basically in the range, depending on the book, of like Harris English and Keegan Bradley. Like, it's very clear. I'll take the guy who's had the better year and is an elite ball striker versus guys who have just had down years when you compare it to the rest of their career.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad. I didn't notice it because I there's a couple guys in like the kind of 40-1 range that I like. I would like this play more. I mean, especially at those odds. I mean, recent winners going back last 5 years, playing very well, entering the tournament. He fits that build. And we've seen, like, no offense to Cam Young, we were saying the same thing about him last year entering this tournament as well. If he could just putt, right? And then he went out and dusted the field. So he could easily get hot. I like that number. He's playing well. He's got obviously a lot of confidence with the win earlier. That's good.
Yeah, this is one where I do wish I got in earlier in the week when it was 39-1. But 35, I still feel, is a very favorable number. A guy who's sitting right around that 39-1 range, a guy that we, have been on all year as a show again, Alex Fitzpatrick. You can get him 40-1 over on FanDuel. He didn't rate out as well in the model for me this week, probably just due to some of the recent performances. He didn't play as well overseas, but I mean, get this man in America this year and watch out. But what was it? Is that more you're trusting kind of the performances that we've seen on the mainland here versus what we saw when he went, back overseas to the United Kingdom? Because it's two distinctly different golfers.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but I mean, the irony is not lost on me that Englishman, went back overseas and played bad for the first time all year. I mean, the weather's nicer, the food's better. I get it, Alex, man. The U.S. is just, no offense, a lot better place to be. So, but I mean, like, him playing Memorial well to me was really big because that's another field that really big penalty when you miss the fairway.
Yep.
And for him to be able to, thrive at a place like that against a very strong field, I have a ton of confidence, coming into this field. Not to mention, he's done okay with less than driver courses. Like, I think it actually will help him find even more fairways, and he's very good from 175 and in. Like, his iron numbers are really good. I think he's like 5th or 6th in strokes gained approach from the inside 175. If he can just get the putter going, I actually really like Fitzpatrick, and it would be cool for him to get a win because there was so much hate and stuff that came towards him that, oh, your brother got you on the PGA Tour, your brother won you this, and then again, this would just be a really cool storyline going on the PGA Tour that he gets his second win, first individual one, and he's earned it. He's played great, especially to your point in the U.S. What is it? It's like 5 out of 6 starts. Top 15.
Yep, top 10 even. If you count the Zurich, that he's got the win at the Zurich, a T9 at the Cadillac, 4th at the Truist, 6th at Memorial, 7th at the Travelers.
It's like, I love the
by
US.
The way, he recorded a top 25 finish at the U.S. Open during that stretch as well. And people were legitimately trying to tell us that this man only got on tour because of his brother. Yeah, they won the event. They used plenty of Alex's shots to win that event. And he's arguably outperformed Matt in a lot of ways.
Since the win, he has, like, flat out.
Yeah. But like you said, it's the putter really holding him back. The scoring numbers weren't great when it's factoring in some of those overseas tournaments that he played in. But I've got him 6th in the field in approach over his last 6 events. So even with the poor putting performances, his iron play is so good. He's accurate and long off the tee too. Mm-hmm. Like that's something I think people don't necessarily realize about his game is he is a very, very, he's not an elite driver of the golf ball, but he is a very solid driver of the golf ball.
It's dangerous when somebody can hit a high cut, man. That's got some speed because you can find the fairway with that. Like,
oh yeah,
Tiger loved hitting that big high cut when he's swinging as hard as he can because you just basically let it ride.
I've been hitting it this year, and I've been a staunch drawer of the golf ball for a long time. And after playing at the IBT Classic, I was like, I think I'm just going to be a cut with the woods guy. I don't really lose that much roll or that much distance since I've got enough speed, and I'm way more accurate with it because the hook doesn't show up. The block doesn't show up. My miss with the driver now is like a 15-yard, we'll call it a power fade. It's a baby slice. However you want to butter it up, I'll slice it. But if I'm aiming left enough, it's still going to be fine. And knowing that I can just aim left versus like trying to pinpoint somewhere I'm aiming to the right and hoping I can draw it off that mark. It changes golf courses, but yeah, Fitzpatrick, especially at this number, very favorable number, I think, for how strong he's played this year and how well he still fits the profile. Next up, another young superstar. You and I are both on this week. Blades Brown, 60-1, absurd number. I'm sorry. I get that we haven't seen him win yet as a professional. Cool. That's fine. The man just finishes top 20. It doesn't matter who is in the field. It doesn't matter what golf course he's playing on. Like between the Korn Ferry Tour and PGA Tour this year, over his last 11 starts, 9th, 16th, 14th, 13th, 17th, 55th, bad, not bad, made the cut, 12th, 22nd, 11th, 5th, 6th. Like the dude, he's what we're talking about with Koivun, where the kid just knows how to go out on the golf course and shoot a number. Flat out can do it any single week. It doesn't matter where he is. And yeah, no part of his game is like his superpower. You could probably make an argument it's his driver. He's both accurate and long, which certainly helps in a lot of situations. But there's nothing about the profile holding him back. I have him 5th in the model this week, just slightly ahead of Koivun. Slightly better approach numbers than Koivun, slightly better putting numbers than Koivun. It's really that 100 to 150 range over the last 24 rounds. I've Blades at 15th and Jackson at 70th. But like he's the number 1 bogey avoider in the field. That alone, it's going to play you in contention in an event like this. His 3-putt avoidance numbers are phenomenal. He's good drives gain numbers. We haven't seen him be as successful on the par 4s. That's the part of the profile that's holding him back from being higher up for me. But the man just knows how to go out there and just card a number. It's typically a pretty good one. He's a guy that like it shocks you if you see a 7 in front of his number every single round.
I just look at it. We saw it the last 2 weeks. You've seen very young kids winning on tour when many didn't expect it. And Blades is another one of those guys. When you're getting him at this number, again, this is a weak field. You've only got 6 of the top 25 guys in the FedEx in this thing. I mean, it is, not the guys that are playing the best. I think it's really good value.
Yeah. And like like you said, even when you look at like, yeah, he's like, oh, T5, T6 would be cool if that was a runner-up number. Last week at the Utah Championship, he was one shot back of the 5-man playoff. Like, that's the reason it doesn't look as good on paper. You look at the Evans Scholars Invitational, 2 shots, or, you know, that one is a little bit different. Tommy Morrison went out there and went 29 under par. If somebody goes 29 under par, they're going to win 90% of the golf tournaments.
Man, he could show up any week with his talent and win. Like, he's that talented, and it's a really good number for this field. Like, if you're going to bet Koivun, like, your betting ground is, like, I mean, it's that kind of talent. Like, these are the 2 guys that we've heard about all year, and they've delivered in their defense.
And like you were talking about with the good number that we're getting on Koivun to top 20, I just explained to everybody here that Blades basically just finishes top 20.
Automatic,
You're getting 3-1 on Blades to top 20 on FanDuel. Like, it's just a click. You don't even really have to think about it. Now, this next player shocked me a little bit to see at the number 1 spot in my model. But the stats make the argument for me, so I don't think I have to convince that many people that heavily. Christian Bezuidenhout, 70-1 on FanDuel. I know what you're saying. Number 1 player in the model, 70-1. Are you sure you ran it correctly? That's what I was thinking.
I'm thinking, is that really how you pronounce his last name? Because it's really bad how I've been doing it.
It's that, or it's like Bezuidenhout or something. I'm doing the best I can, people.
No, you're probably getting it right. I'm hearing it correctly is like, ouch.
Even typing it is hard. I just shorten it to Bez as much as I can. Christian, having the extra A in there.
It's like, what's up with your first name? It's like, you already know we're going to have a whole ordeal with your last name, and you're going to throw the extra A in there. Dick move.
These dang South Africans. Not all of them can make it easy on us, but, you know, like I said, the profile makes it pretty clear why I like Bez this week. Top 20 Bermuda putter, top 10 approach player over his last 24 rounds, second best bogey avoider in the field behind just Blades, solid enough scoring numbers, solid history here, you know, top 45 in terms of strokes gained total at Sedgefield. On the comp courses that I pulled, he's top 20 there. 7th in 3-putt avoidance, top 25 in that.
He drives it straight too, doesn't he?
11th in good drives gained.
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy who doesn't hit it far, right?
That's like,
so if you look at just his strokes gained total off the tee, or not total off the tee, strokes gained off the tee, even with less than driver, the numbers are not phenomenal. But where he succeeds is the good drive gain side of things. He's 11th in that number. The guy puts it in good spots for him to make good approaches to follow that up with. And 70-1, like, this is a condensed odds board, right? Like, there's it jumps very quickly to 20, and then it takes a long time for you to get down the odds boards before you really get to like 100. But Bez at this number is just too good to pass up. You know, the recent performances, yes, have not been the best. We have not yet seen him win on the PGA Tour. I don't think on paper with his current game, there is a better venue for him to win at. Period.
I think all that's fair.
You'll love to see it. Next up, just another name with a couple too many letters that are the same letter next to each other too many times. At least that's how my brain wants to type Emiliano Grillo, with like 2 L's in both the first and last name.
But Grillo, like I like to.
To be fair, you know, it gets confusing sometimes. Like Ricky Castillo, I've never seen that name pronounced that way other time in my life. He does it.
Yep.
We're doing the best that we can, people. He's from the South. I'm from the cornfields in the Midwest. We are doing what we can.
I'm pronouncing it wrong pretty much off the rip.
If you correct me on it, it's like when Mike had to correct me on the Renaissance Club. I'm like, that's Renaissance. I'm just going to say it that way. We're doing the best that we can. We mean no disrespect. We are just a couple humble bumpkins doing what we can with what we have. But Grillo,
public educations.
But Grillo, you know, he doesn't have the best profile for me. Good approach numbers, good scoring and bogey avoidance numbers, just severely lacking with the putting department. Are you kind of taking the same approach here that I'm taking with Tom Kim, where we're just going to trust the approach play and the putting? You know, if you get it, we've seen what happens when Grillo catches hot with the putter. The man can put up some numbers really quickly.
And he's streaky. And I'm talking about like in the way he plays. He'll play really bad for long stretches. And then he kind of has these bursts over like 6 to 8 tournament weeks. And I just feel like he's kind of like right in the middle of one of those. He's had about 4 or 5 really good starts in a row. And this is just a venue. He drives it really straight. He's a very good iron player. So, yeah, it's like I'm just hoping he gets hot with the putter.
And we've seen what can happen when he can. You know, we've seen it this year. He's got multiple T7 finishes. It's his ceiling so far this year.
He's 17 to 1, by the way, to top 5. I mean, that's like almost what you're getting for Koivun for outrights. I mean, pretty good odds.
Yeah. And he's a 2-time PGA Tour winner. I think a lot of people forget that about Grillo, is that we have, in fact, seen him win on the PGA Tour. We've seen him in the President's Cup. Like, we've seen this man play a lot of competitive golf and play very well in those situations. I think, like you said, he's just streaky. You know, there's a lot of streaky players. We're going to talk about another streaky player after Grillo here. But sometimes when you find a streak, you just got to ride the lightning a little bit.
Amen.
And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's 80 to 1, right? Like, we're not throwing 5 units on this play. It's a partial unit play. I've lost $3 in a lot of different ways, and
so
throwing it on
9 to 1 to top 10. I mean, like, if you think I'm crazy with the outright, check out the top 5, top 10. Pretty good odds.
Absolutely. Now, this last guy that we're going to talk about before we talk about some of the, you know, the ladder markets out there, you did have to convince me to make a graphic for. But like I said, I will typically always be happy to find a reason to not talk down about this player, but, you know, give a little guff to this player is how I'll put it. Sepp Straka going 100 to 1. I promise you a good picture for Sepp Straka. No hat, full ball, Diet Coke in hand. I love the guy, right?
Like, look.
The person that is Sepp Straka, I'm sure, is a great guy. Convince me on this number before I give you my reasons against.
I mean, it's just the fact that he plays these less than driver courses well. He enters this week like he's top 10 still and strokes gain on positional courses. Like, he's a great iron player. Right now, it's more with the wedges, like actually kind of that 125 and in number. But it's just a situation where when I get him on a course where he can just ball strike it to death and not get overpowered, he seems to, throughout his career, have spike weeks. And then the main thing is just, honestly, he was 35 to 1 at Memorial and such a stronger field. So, like, how am I getting this guy at like triple digits in a really weak field when kind of the same thing we were just saying about Grillo? He's won multiple times on the PGA Tour. We know he can get it done. So, I mean, it's really more about the number. Yeah.
And so here's my argument against Straka and why I think the number is what it is. Do I think it's a bad play? Inherently, no, right? Like, these are long shot plays. These are not plays that we're going crazy over. We're not throwing 10 units down on Sepp Straka at 100 to 1. It's a fair number to try and get in on early. The recent play has been bad. It's just, and that is Sepp Straka. Like we were talking about with Grillo, he is a streaky guy. Strokes gained putting in Bermuda in his career, pretty average compared to this field. Less than driver courses, pretty average compared to the field here. It's just the recent play. Over his last 24 rounds, 96th in this field on approach, 85th from 150 to 200, about field average, 100 to 150. The real thing that he at least kills him for DFS purposes for me, he is, over his last 24 rounds, 142nd in birdie or better percentage and 137th in bogey percentage.
He's overdue. I will say the first year he won an event, he made 33 starts, missed 14 cuts.
Yeah.
Only had 7 top 25s, 5 top 10s, and he had a win. I mean, this year he's made 17 starts. He's got the 5 cuts, but he's got 5 25s and 3 top 10s. He's just a guy that, again, at 100 to 1, there's been a lot worse bets.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, the important thing to note is when we're trying to hit these longer shot players, right? Like, we're recognizing the risk is inherently built in. Like, that's why we, you know, I always stress on these plays and on a lot of the bets that I'm making for outrights, I'm trying to get roughly 25 to 30 to 1 back. So for a guy who's 90 to 1, that's a 0.3 unit play. For a guy who's 100 to 1, that's like a quarter unit play. Like, these are not guys that we are going overly crazy on. And again, sometimes you just got to ride the lightning on these streaks or try and find the moment when they break out. I made a boatload of money on Sepp Straka last year after not betting him probably once the entirety of 2024, right? When you find these guys who can get hot and are hot, you just have to take advantage of it. For DFS purposes, like I said, I'm 100% out on Straka this week. I need to see it. For DFS, I need you to be in better form, especially when you're known as an approach guy and your approach numbers have been flat out abysmal of late. But he, like you said, he's the guy who can just show up and show out. When he had his T15 here back in 2021, he was coming off of 3 straight miscuts and then went to the Olympics and T10 there. And then T15's here and then misses the cut. You know, you go through these stretches, like you said, where the dude will just miss like 7 cuts in a row and then be the runner up at the St. Jude Championship.
Straka gonna Straka, man.
It's Straka is going to Straka. But before we get to the final segment of the show, I thought this was funny to talk about some of these ladder markets and some of these props that we like. So I threw a picture of a ladder on the screen for the people here. So, you know,
you WWE match. Let's go.
Exactly. So some of those plays that we've already talked about, but are there any other, you know, some of these top 5, top 10, top 20 numbers that you find pretty appealing for some players?
Oh yeah. I got a boatload of them. You can get Jordan Smith at 13 to 1 to top 5. He is somebody that's in great, form. I didn't realize he actually really excels. He's like 5th or 6th in the field in strokes gained off the tee on short positional courses, which is not something I would expect for somebody who can just mash it like he can. We talked about Grillo. You can get Trevor Crowe, who, by the way, had a top 10 finish in his only start here 2 years ago, at 60 to 1 to top 5 and 11 to 1 to top 20.
I'll throw a dollar on that.
That's what I'm saying. This is where I get in trouble though with this stuff. Again, I mentioned Horschel. You can get him for 10 to 1 to top 10, 21 to top 5, and then the Koivun and Billy Horschel parlay, where you take the Koivun plus 135 to top 20 and Horschel at plus 430, and then finally Davis Riley, who's been playing really good. You get him at plus 750 to top 20. On FanDuel right now. That is really good odds for a guy that's got a decent track record at this venue. We just saw him obviously ball strike the stew out of one course, and why can't he do it again this week?
Absolutely. There's even some other really intriguing numbers that are out there for me. Ben Coles is entering this event leading the field in driving accuracy, 3rd over his last 30 rounds on approach, 8th in scrambling. He's got 3 top 15s in his last 4 starts. Thank you at TourPicks on Twitter for this beautiful graphic that I'm looking at.
40 to 1, like that's still the little low, right, for him. I noticed you didn't have him either as like an outright. I just felt like that's kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's 55 now. I've seen it as high as 60. It's hard to trust a journeyman, right? It's hard to bet an outright on a journeyman. It's just the nature of the game. Like we said, though, streaky guys are going to be streaky. The dude is he's not going to hit it far. He ain't going to do that. He's going to lose yards to the field and distance every single week, but he's going to gain 15 to 20% accuracy on everybody there. The iron play has been strong, you know, in solid field events. Like we said, 3 top 15s, even last week at the Rocket Classic, 26th. But I'm looking at like plus 280 to top 20 for him, plus 650 to top 10, 13 to 1 to top 5. Like those are very solid numbers. I'm shocked at Ben Griffin's placement numbers for a guy who's 26 to 1 to win the whole thing. And again, it's a guy
top 5. Is that what you had it at?
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. It was one of the props that on my betting card. Like,
for a guy who's missed the cut here once and every other time it's been 4th, 7th, and 11th. Like the guy top 12s at this event in his sleep. even when he
puts
was
the
playing
eyes
golf
out.
that made him retire. Like he
Right.
was playing golf that made him be like, maybe I should go be an accountant. And you're getting 650 plus 650 for him to top 20 or to top 5. You're getting 3-1 for him to top 10. You're getting plus 150 for him to top 20. Like, I'm going to take advantage of these numbers when I can get them. And this is, again, a field where kind of anybody can compete. So you can even get weirdly low on this odds board for top 20s. And you're like, I absolutely could see Neil Shipley top 20 here at 9-1. I could see Brandt Snedeker top 20 in here at 7.5 to 1.
I think it's one of the Stevenson boys has got multiple like top 15s or top 10s. He's 13 to 1 to top 20.
You got another just an extremely accurate player who doesn't hit it that far and can't putt that great. And Joel Damon, you're getting 6.5 to 1 for him to top 20. Like, I think this event really, unless you hit the right long shot, if we get a long shot winner, where you're going to make your money this week is on some of these longer shot, comparatively top 20, top 10 plays.
I feel like where this is where so much of it's moving though, just in general. Like, have you not noticed that where it feels like they've really figured out the outrights to where we get no fun. But yeah, like the top 5, top 10, I mean, like you'll get sometimes they got a top 5 that is worth more than, the top 10 guys on the betting board for outrights. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think especially with the way the tour is going, where we're going to have like the Champions track and the Challenger track. The Challenger track is where you're going to make your money on the outrights, because there's not going to be as true of a clear betting favorite. It's not going to be guys going up against Scotty and Rory and everybody every week. These are the fields where I do think you can make some good money on the outrights. And we've had a few of these events now as the season's been winding down. As we are getting, less signature events or no signature events, and we're just getting down to some of the, the grittier events, the more
it's going to be no fun the next 3 weeks for sure.
Yeah. Like we're going to be scraping the barrel.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to have to talk myself into a guy at 20 to 1 that I absolutely barely think can win the event just to get some juice out of something.
Yeah.
But this is probably our last event of the regular season and the playoffs where, we can take a shot on some of these guys to get the win.
Do your best Kobe impersonation. Let it fly.
Literally. It's the Kobe. It's, Dirk Nowitzki hook shot. Like I'm just throwing it up there and something's going to work or something's not. But, that's just kind of the nature of this point of the season, right? Like it's winding down. These are guys who are playing for everything. These are guys who are playing to get into the playoffs this year. These are guys who are playing to have status next year and not have to go grind the Korn Ferry Tour, especially with the lack of Monday qualifiers that are out there now. Like this is the time where this event means more to most of the field than probably any event that they played this year. Yeah. And we're going to see some great damn golf as a result of it. And I'm so excited to watch it. But that is all that we have for the main plays this week. But before we end the show, I do want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fantasy Spin.
Spin, pick, win.
Fantasy Spin has been a great way for me to make some money this year, and hopefully it has been for you guys as well. If you guys aren't familiar with Fantasy Spin, it's a different kind of daily fantasy experience. It lets you spin your lineup, make your picks, and compete in tournaments based off of real player performance. Like a slot machine, you can hit the jackpot. It's a unique game that combines the skill of drafting DFS with a captivating gamified experience, allows you to enter your contest, whether that's larger field events, head-to-head matchups, winner-take-all events, just like every other DFS site, but it gives you the unique fun of the spin side of things. You can play for free or with cash, whichever way you prefer. Fantasy Spin has you covered. Check the link in the description and use promo code IBT Golf. Deposit at least $10 and play one tournament to get $30 in bonus play. This supports the program, so make sure you check out Fantasy Spin and let's make some real noise for the rest of the PGA season. And the PGA season, as we mentioned multiple times, it's about at a close. This is our last regular season event before we gear up for the playoffs. But for Keith Flemming, I'm Jake Parry. We thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the content that we have coming your way. Make sure you like the video, and we will see you all at our next tee time.